Hi, Will here. If you're coming from another country to the USA to immigrate, study, or visit, then please watch to the end, as what I'm going to tell you is not typically advertised in any travel to America brochure. I'm a Canadian expat from Vancouver who's lived all over the world and now in the USA. USA, also known as the land of the free. I wanted to escape the crazy Canadian climate on high taxes, rampant homelessness, crime, and out of control costs for housing, taxes, etc. If you're Canadian, you know the drill. America is number one from what I hear. Yes, for some things, but it's also number one for this really, really bad thing that you need to know about before you come. Now, this is called death due to unforeseen circumstances, or simply called senseless murders. Now, death to unforeseen circumstances are deaths that are not caused by natural causes, such as old age or disease, but caused by other miscellaneous reasons. And this is important because when you travel somewhere, you really need to factor this in when choosing where you're going to study, where you're going to live, whether you're going to work or immigrate. Now, let me give you a bit of context. I've lived for extensive periods, years, in many countries such as Japan, Costa Rica, Panama, Taiwan, etc., Hong Kong. And there's no country in the world that beats the USA for career and job and business opportunities, as this country is very diverse and has a very large market size. Yup, there are huge advantages, especially for Canadians, to live in the United States. Lower taxes, higher wages, business opportunity, goods and services are generally cheaper, and taxes are lower. The weather is also much better in general, though right now it's 46 degrees Celsius, which isn't very pleasant. Now, for those of you who live in America, you probably don't need to know this, but for you, those who are visiting, I'm going to give you a quick, brief checklist of the types of, the summary of the ways that you could have death by unforeseen circumstances. So, without further ado, let's start. Number one, mass murders. Now, mass murders are typically defined as murders that involve three victims or more. Okay, so that's typically in the United States. These occur anywhere. It could happen at any place: schools, universities, at concerts, at supermarkets, at movie theaters, at a casino, at a parade, and on and on, and on subways, etc. Recently, 2 minutes from my own home, and I live in a pretty decent neighborhood, there was a mass murder at a law office, believe it or not, where one of the clients murdered two other people or three other people in the meeting. And this is in an upscale business office area. Next group are not mass murderers. Basically, they are less than three people. And these occur, again, in the same type of places: fast food restaurants, gas station, road rage, random shootings in apartments, tourism, tourists getting killed, car robberies that gone wrong, killing for walking a dog. In my neighborhood, and you might think my neighborhood is terrible, which it isn't. There were two people out for a morning walk, and one of them was walking their dog, and they got in a dispute, and they pulled out guns, and then I think one of them got killed by the other, just on a regular walk. Very recently, what made the news were tourists from New Zealand, and this made big international news, where they got killed at an upscale mall in California, in Los Angeles. And they were essentially, they're shopping, and they were trying to steal the elderly man's Rolex watch. And instead, they they tried to grab the woman's purse. She was like 60 plus years old on a vacation to America to see what America was all about, and she got run over by one of the drivers. There are three people that have been apprehended. Now, someone commented that they wanted me to show the actual news. I always put it in the links below, but let me show you this one.
Well, in other news, 3 suspects accused in the death of a New Zealand tourist at Fashion Island were in court this afternoon. And as KCAL News reporter Michelle Geely shows us, we're now learning more about the criminal record of one of those suspects.
This is not a one-day cycle case.
3 LA County men accused of robbing a couple from New Zealand at Fashion Island Mall in Newport Beach and then killing the 68-year-old.
For those of you that don't know about Newport Beach, that's a very upscale area in California that's close to Los Angeles. And as you can see, they were probably here just like any other tourist, and they're not returning home. Was once a pleasant, probably a retirement trip. You know, New Zealand is very far, has ended in disaster. Now, I don't want to go and dramatize it, but this is not an isolated incident. There's a lot of these type of crimes in the US. But let me give you a quick summary of the senseless murders that happen in the United States. And they can be categorized in these broad areas. One is reckless driving. So reckless driving involves, and I'm sure it happens everywhere in the country, but all over the world. But in America, because America is a country that doesn't have, it has public transportation, but it's really a private transportation system. Everybody has a car, and they're not into subways as much, only in the very big cities, but most people drive. And as a result, people are tempted to speed. So you have things like wrong way crashes, drunk driving, distracted driving, smoke and drive, elderly driving, meth and drive. There's so many different ways that people die from reckless driving. I'll go domestic violence. So domestic violence not includes death by spouse or by offspring, you know, getting killed by your kids, getting killed by coworkers. Recently, there's a case of coworkers at UPS or FedEx that one of them killed the other. And a lot of this is due to mental health issues. There's also random violence as well. So if you look at somebody the wrong way, or you're pushed off a subway platform, which happens a lot in New York, you're robbed for anything, your shoes or your watch or your handbag or anything of value. As I told you, robbed while walking your dog, killed by teenagers. Particularly, there were a very famous case in Las Vegas where these 2 teenagers just wanted to come and run people over. They're not even drunk. They're just running people over for the purposes of social media. And I'll put it in the link below so you can get a preview of what happens in the United States. There's also phobia-driven senseless death and race-driven. So people who are getting killed because of their sexual orientation or their gender or their race happens, I'm sure you know, but it really happens a lot in the United States. And then there's other. So people getting killed by stray bullets, believe it or not. So people that didn't intentionally think of shooting you, but you got hit by the crossfire, like in a war. Then there's getting killed by fake cops or getting shot at by fake cops. There's even getting shot at by the cops, getting shot at by basically anybody, a guy in a bad mood, firefighters, getting killed in any random, basically unimaginable way. Anyway, if you have any comments, please write them below. And please subscribe and like. I'm not a professional YouTuber. I'm just trying to do something and try to educate those who may be coming here and get a different point of view. I'm sure a lot of you already know about what's going on here, but it's important to get firsthand account of really the severity of the situation. Now, in my case, I'm really scared. I've never liked this before. Lived in many countries, never feared for my life. Now I'm just very cautious because I know life is precious. Thanks again and take care.